Howdy folks, Dr. Will Wong here. Let's talk about exercise and longevity. First, let me read you a very short piece from Dr. Ron Rapice, and it's titled, Exercise Doesn't Help You Live Longer, What Doctors Don't Tell You. And it starts off saying, exercise is good for you, but it won't help you live longer. In fact, the reverse is true. People who live a sedentary life or who exercise little saw a 7% drop in their mortality risk. But strenuous exercisers did not live longer. These surprise findings were made by a group of researchers at a university in Finland who assessed the longevity and activity levels of 22,750 twins born before 1958. The twins were put into one of four groups depending on their activity levels: sedentary, moderate activity, active, and highly active. After studying the groups for 30 years, the researchers found that those in the sedentary and moderate activity groups saw a modest 7% drop in their mortality rate. But that disappeared in the active and highly active groups. The World Health Organization's recommended exercise levels also did not impact longevity levels. The WHO suggests 150 to 300 minutes of moderate exercise or 75 to 150 minutes of strenuous exercise a week. But the participants who met those recommendations weren't living longer. Genetics isn't a factor. It was common to see in one twin in the highly active group, the other one living a sedentary life, and though both had a genetic profile that raised the risk of heart disease, for example, exercise wasn't protective. Exercise did influence biological aging, at least to an extent. The researchers found a U-shaped benefit, so that either no exercise or very active exercise affected our biological age. But even then, the researchers suspected the real culprit was smoking and excessive alcohol consumption, which is more prevalent among those who did little exercise. So what do you think? And with that, Dr. Ron ends his article. Now, let me go over some of the commentaries to this piece, starting with mine. Very true. Studies going as far back as the 1970s aerobics craze showed that the couch potatoes lived as long as their exercising cousins. The quality of life just wasn't as good. Even Dr. Ken Cooper came to the same conclusion in the early 2000s. Plus 50 years of the exercise craze has shown that runners tend to give themselves the heart disease they're trying to run away from, and late middle-aged to older lifters trying to do what they could when they were younger are giving themselves CVAs, in other words, strokes. And then another one of our email group members commented, about 30 years ago, when National Geographic published the results of their research into centenarians, they found a good percentage of them were total couch potatoes. The only major aha moment was when they did the blood chemistry. All of them had high levels of glutathione, which would mean they all had healthy livers. But the most powerful commentary was from a gal who is a legend in cycling, Annie Beck. I'll read you her commentary. The reason the exercisers have health issues is because they don't see the need to supplement. I have ridden my bicycle across the USA 9 times now, with large groups averaging 100 miles a day for some of those treks, and the last two averaging 140 miles a day. Also, have ridden another category of ultra-distance double centuries, 200 miles in one day. 98 doubles. Don't expect to get performance and far without diligent supplementing. Enzymes for sure. Ionic minerals for sure. I am 72, and it's not the exercise, but the combination of supplements along with the exercise. Dr. Joel Wallach did the studies. No athlete, no billionaire, no millionaire, no thousandaire. No one arrives at 100 without supplements. So why not share the other side of the equation? Plus, not just food for enzymes. Right, Dr. Wong? People forget about zymescence. Why run to pharma and doctors? They have ruined about 66 million lives just with the bioweapons alone. So think about it. Listen to Dr. Wong and people like him. Duh. These are my 2 cents of feedback. And that is actually great feedback. If exercise alone does not increase longevity, but the studies have shown that exercise plus supplementation does, what does that tell you? Go listen to my lecture on YouTube, Podbean, or BitChute titled Fighting the Things Most Likely to Kill Us. And remember, between the exercise and the supplementation, you've got a great handle on extending your lifespan. On that note, I wish you all God's blessings, be well, and I'll chat with you again. Bye-bye.